Hey, scrapbook friends, it's Nicole from Nicole's Scrapbooks, and I'm here with the December 2025 edition of the Savvy Scrapbookers. Hopefully by now you're all aware of how this works. Every month, my two friends, Debbie Martin, Donna Guest, and I meet on Zoom, and we divide up a Creative Memories paper pack and either the stickers or the embellishments, and then each of us takes the pieces that we chose and create a double page layout. The idea being, if you were to watch all three of our videos and copy our layouts exactly, you can also have 6 layouts using one pack of paper with very little waste and no overlap of ingredients, for lack of a better word. So today we're using Tropical Garden. This is the brand new collection just released on December 1st. And what a great thing to do when it's cold and it's kind of dismal outside where I live, and we're expecting like massive cold this weekend. So it was really fun to have an excuse to find some tropical pictures and be able to remember warmer times. So please stay tuned to see how this layout came together. And I also show you how to use the exact same formula with a different collection in case maybe you don't have anything tropical in your life to scrapbook right now. Okay, so the first paper that I picked this time was this flamingo paper because I love flamingos. I love pink, and so, pink flamingos, I just think they're super fun. I don't have a lot of flamingo themed things in my life, but maybe I need to change that. So the flamingos on one side and the green stripe on the other. And then there's this kind of abstract pattern with the pink and the palm leaves. And the back is this dark purple, which I love. Then this dark green with the palm fronds, and the back is little palm trees. And then the other one of this abstract pattern, but this is green with these little green circles on the back. So I want this flamingo to kind of be my focal point paper because it's my favorite. But what we're going to do is the 2 strips across the bottom are going to be from the back. And unfortunately, these go in the same direction. Ordinarily, I would like to cut my strips across, against the grain. But I need my piece of flamingos to be shorter this way. So I'm gonna have to cut this way, and we'll just hope that the stripes aren't too miserable when we line them up. And then I kind of couldn't decide which pieces to use for the back and which pieces to use for the front. This abstract pattern is so busy, and so I kind of played around with a couple of different things, but I think I want to be able to use this burgundy as kind of my other cut apart paper, and then we'll use this as the base. And I mean, maybe I could do it this way and put this on here, but I just feel like that was too much. So we're going to use the dark leaves for the right hand side. And of course, if you're doing this at home, you can always use cardstock for your base. For us with the Savvy Scrapbookers, our goal is to give you 3 double page layouts using just the papers in the paper pack. And because one side is usually much more tonal as opposed to pattern, usually that works okay. But there's no rules in scrapbooking. I mean, and if there are, there's nobody enforcing those rules. So we're going to use these 2 as our base, which means we're going to cut apart these other 2. And let's actually let's do this one first because we're going to punch it. And I'm going to use the new Tropical Flowers Border Maker cartridge. I like this one a lot. This is a chain, and I feel like it's going to be very versatile. And I know that a lot of people are telling me that they're kind of cutting back on their punch purchases because they don't have any space to store them. But, if you can find one that you're going to be able to use a lot, it's a lot more easy to justify it than if it's just, a flamingo or something like that. I am going to pull out my cutting guide for you because I'm going to use it to punch on. So we're going to punch 2 of our chain border, and then we're going to cut the other part into mats. But until then, I'm going to use this to catch all the confetti. This one seems to be cutting okay for me. But one of the things that I have learned sometimes about these chain style is that as you're punching them, they kind of sag because they disconnect from the paper. So if you ever have a punch that's like getting caught, like you punch 1 or 2 and then it starts getting tangled every time, I really like to do the every other punch technique. Oh, sorry, we'll position it correctly again. Lining it up with the edge of our tray, closing the magnet, folding the tray out of the way. And so I'm going to just show you that every other punch technique where it keeps a little bit of the structural integrity of the paper. And I've done this before, but people still are not always remembering it. That actually looks really cute. I think you could probably do something like that if you left it in. But now we've punched every other, and you see it's still staying pretty straight in the trimmer or in the holder. And so then I'm just going to go back, and when I punch that, it dropped down to the bottom. And when I punch this one, you're going to see that too. And I think that's what happens to get punches jammed up in the trimmer is they move a little bit, so they're not perfectly straight anymore, and that's how they get caught up in the punch. So that's just a little tip that is working really well for me whenever I have kind of a fiddly punch. All right, so that's all the punching we're doing, just 2 chains. And now because I punched on this cutting guide, I can easily get rid of my scraps. Although look at that confetti, it makes tiny little hearts. I kind of like that. That could be fun for Valentine's card if you do like a shaker card. All right, so here's our cutting guide again with our 2 punch chains. If you're using a different kind, like an edge punch or a knockout punch, you're going to cut these to about 1 1/8 inches. That seems to be the measurement for chain punches. But then this part is going to get a little bit, you have to be a little bit go with the flow. So we're going to start by, and I'm going to use, this is the edge I punched on, and it's not 100% straight. So we're going to use this side right here, and we're going to cut at 4. It's going to be our photo mats. And then I'm going to open this up and cut it at 6. We're going to have these 2 4x6 photo mats. And for this one, you really want a pattern that's not directional because one of them is going to be vertical and one of them is going to be horizontal. Now this piece, let's see how straight. That's mostly straight. And it's about 5 3/4. On the cutting guide, I said 5 1/2, but it doesn't matter. Straighten up your edge if you need to. And then we're going to turn this and cut this at 9 inches. All right, this one is maybe going to be a scrap. We may find something to do with it, but for right now it's a scrap. And then we got this big piece. Now we're going to take our other piece, kind of our focal point print, and I'm going to cut 2 1.5-inch strips off the top or the bottom. It's going to be the bottom just because that's the, I'm going to do it this way, so it's going to be the top. Just off the top edge, right? So directionally, you know, Debbie Martin talks about putting things correctly in the trimmer. What she means is like, so that it's the right orientation when you're looking at, that would be correctly in the trimmer. We're going to turn this 90 degrees. So it's going to be sideways in the trimmer. Just going to cut 1. These are 1.5-inch. And then hopefully this got us right to 9. Yep, there we are, right at 9. I love to measure with this. We can put this side away. And then we're going to cut 1 inch off the end. It doesn't matter which side. All right, and that's all our cutting. Oh, no, that's not all our cutting. That is all our cutting. I forgot to give you the cutting guide for that one. That's what happened. So here's the cutting guide for the second one. 1.5, 1.5. But of course you're going to cut it like this, right? Or like this actually, because anytime I cut less than 1.5 or 1 3/4 inches, I like to cut on this side of my trimmer. So 1.5, 1.5. This piece is now left over as 9, and you're going to turn it and cut that 1 by 9-inch piece. All right, so there's that one if you need to take a quick screenshot. And the first one. I'd love to know how many of you actually do screenshot these cutting guides and come back to them later, how useful you find this to be. And like I said, I said 5.5, but you know, whatever size you need it to be. That's all our cutting. And now we're going to take our base pages. You know, for those of you who watch my Theme Park Thursday, you may think scrapbooking takes forever. And the actual scrapbooking doesn't really take that much time, but sometimes coming up with your plan and your idea can take forever. So we're going to do it like this. we're going to have, and you could use the other side, but I really like, I don't know, that's actually kind of pretty with this opposite side, isn't it? I think it might be too much on this one though. Could we do both? Maybe we do both. My plan was to do just the dark purple because I really like this purple. I think we're going to stick with the real plan and do the purple. And then this piece is going to go here up against the middle, and then this piece is going to go here next to it, and then this last little piece will go along the side, and then we're going to flip over and use the other side here. Oh, look, those lines lined up pretty well. All right, this is really busy paper. Let's flip it over and see if we like the other side better. I'm having a little trouble with this one, and actually it kind of looks directional. I think I would want it to be that way, but I don't know about this one. This one's also, this is kind of more, they're both patterny. Yeah, I don't know about this one. I think we're going to use the busier side. The contrast between this light and that dark is just a little bit too much for me. So we'll go ahead and use this crazy busy side. And it does have up and down. It's got some words on them, but they're the fake words like lorem ipsum, whatever, that they just use for filler space. All right, so we're just going to adhere all these pieces down. And you guys know me, I'm a real tape runner girl. Permanent tape runner. I know a lot of people have gone 100% to repositionable, and I know that most of you, you know, I mean, when you've tried to remove repositionable adhesive, you know, a few months later, you realize it's not permanent, it's not repositionable forever. But I've spent too many years talking about the importance of making sure everything is attached permanently to your scrapbook. So some things I don't mind using repositionable, but others I like to do my permanent adhesive. And then it's about 1/4 of an inch or so from this 1/2 inch line so that you have enough space at the top to put your flower punch border. And you could, if you wanted to, gut the middle out of this and save that paper. I'm not going to do it for the sake of time and because it's brand new paper and so I can get more of it. But sometimes when I have paper that, like I'm down to my last little bit, you know, I love to kind of gut out that center. I'd probably do a 2.5 inch frame or something, a C-shaped frame. And if you like both sides of the paper, you could absolutely use, you know, both sides, but that's a lot. So I'm going to butt these up against each other to make sure that the patterns line up. And then we'll put this last little strip on the side. And I just feel like this just kind of ties the two pages together, although we are going to cover up a lot of this this whole design. So now we're going to take our repositionable adhesive and go ahead and stick down our tropical flowers border. And this one, you just kind of want to center it in the space that's left, which is about 1 1/4 inches. I'm just lining it up with my grid right here. Oh, actually, I could use my new positioning ruler. Sorry, Creative Memories is calling this the layout ruler. And as advisors, we were able to get a sample with this blue mat. I believe that the blue mat is coming back permanently. The ruler is still available from your advisor, and it's got a little raised edge with little grippy feet so that it kind of grabs onto the sides of this mat or the gray mat if you have the 13 by 13 inch gray mat. So you can put your paper, line it up, you know, you could stick it down with some double stick tape if you want, line it up on here, and then I can make sure, got my ruler right here at the 1 inch line, and because it's that raised acrylic ruler, just butt it up against that edge, and then I'm going to know that my piece is straight. So we'll do the same thing with this one, except I can't remember what line I put it at. Does anybody remember? Was it the 1 inch line? I think it was. All right, position my layout ruler. And this is not a cutting tool, even though it came out at the same time as the cutting tools. This is a positioning ruler. It's kind of to use in place of a T-square. I know a lot of people have loved a T-square ruler, but the nice thing about this one is it basically has the cross brace on both sides. You do have to have this specific mat or a mat that's exactly the same size, but hopefully you already have, you know, this mat because there's so many cool things it can do. And now we're going to use this again to help us position our photo mats. So what I did for this one is I have a vertical photo mat and a horizontal photo mat. And I think I'm going to do it. I need to leave some space to put my embellishments. But I kind of want this to be like my focal point picture. So we're going to see, we'll put this one, oh, let me get my pictures out. If you don't have a picture to put on it yet, you could use like the photo positioning cards or something. But this one is a 3.5 by 5.5 picture. These are pictures of when my siblings and I went to St. George Island to celebrate my sister's 50th birthday. So my sisters and my brother. I have one brother. Oh, sorry. I want this one is the one that's going to go on here. That's a 3.5 by 5.5, and then that's a 4 by 6. So we're going to use this. You don't have to, you know, a lot of people aren't bothered by if their pictures aren't straight, but I like my pictures to be straight. And so I think I'll do these about right there, which is at 2 1/4 from the bottom. Oh, real adhesive for me. You know, for someone that goes to Florida as often as I do, I did not have very many Florida pictures or tropical pictures. Turns out most of what I do in Florida is amusement park themed, which is not a surprise to any of you, I'm sure. All right, let's see. That one was at 2 1/4. Let's do this one at 6.5. This is just going to make sure that my photo mats are straight. And like I say, if usually we can just eyeball it and nobody's going to come after you. I remember I was not ever really in 4-H, but some of my sisters were, and they did some sewing things, and you have to be so specific because they literally went and were so nitpicky about your seams and everything being great. All right, do I want to put this at the top? I think I want to leave a little gap right there. So we're going to put it right here at 3.5. It's going to give us room on the bottom. Anyway, all that to say, this is not 4-H. Nobody's going to come and measure your seams to make sure that your everything is perfectly straight. But sometimes my eye will tell me, and it makes me happy to have my seams be straight. I also know there are people that don't love using photo mats. If you don't want to use photo mats, you could just skip the part with the mats. But I like to have the mats when I can. So, okay, so that side's done. And then we'll do this side. And I should have made a note of what measurements I put those pictures at. So I've got my sweet brother who's surrounded by all these sisters. Actually, I think for this one, I'm just going to position it by eyeballing it, the first one. But he's a good sport to go with all the girls. My dad didn't go. My dad is 90. This was in 2022, I think. So he was only 88 back then. But all right, I think I did 2 1/4. And that one was then at 6.5. I'm afraid that I might become compulsive about this, having to have everything exactly where it needs to be. But just makes it so nice to be able to get everything put on straight. Now, this last picture is a vertical, but I wanted to show you my original photo was horizontal. For whatever reason, I think this was with my real camera, my SLR. And, you know, with my phone, I tend to take more verticals, but with my big camera, I tend to take more horizontals. But I needed a vertical picture. So I just enlarged it, cropped it down to get my other picture. I was talking to somebody the other day who said, oh, I never remember to turn my camera. And you know what? None of us do. We never remember to turn our camera. So you can just crop those photos, you know, before you have them printed, if you want to have it fit the whole space. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing here because I want to put my embellishments down. So I love these embellishments. I love this paper pack, the purple and the pink and the yellow. Like, these are my colors. I love them so much. So I've got this little sign. I'm going to just write. In fact, I should write before I stick it down. St. George Island, Florida, September 22. And I'm going to use these. And I am going to use Repo for my embellishments. And I just want to kind of put this one here. I think this one's going to go down a little bit. I picked these because of the colors. That's always one of the hardest things when Donna and Debbie and I get together. Oh, I think I want to put these on foam squares. It's always one of the hardest things is to decide, you know, who gets what. Sometimes we all like the same things, and sometimes we like, you know, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes when you know what your photos are going to be, it's relatively easy to choose what you want. But and I'll put one big giant one in the middle. So we've talked about this before, that I tend to use more adhesive rather than less. I want my embellishments to be nice and popped. And I know that I cram a lot of pages into my album, so I don't want to squish them down. I think I'm going to cover it right on the edge of that. There we go. All right, and then this, I have this little card that says, my soul is happy, but I feel like it was getting lost up here. So I also took this, I think this is supposed to be a journaling card. It's like a little sun. I think I'm going to put it kind of parallel, so the edge of it lines up with this picture, and then I'm going to put this up on foam dots. I guess I can use my ruler again. And what I'm doing this time is I'm aligning the grid mark. Let me lift it up for you. The grid mark on the ruler, that 1/4 inch mark, I'm just aligning it with the top of my photo. Because, you know, sometimes our photos are not exactly 4x6. And then I can just put it right here. And I want this to be also on here. I mean, I could use that for journaling, but this is going to be part of a bigger, you know, a series of album layouts. I think I actually want to scoot that down a little bit so that it's not touching the flowers. We'll scoot her down. I mean, it's still touching the flowers, but it doesn't cover them up as much. And then we'll use a whole bunch of foam squares, and I'm down to the tiny ones again because I use so many. These aren't even the tiniest ones. These are the tiniest ones. And sometimes I even cut them in half. These are not very forgiving. Even regular permanent tape runner can be a little bit forgiving, but once these guys are stuck down, they like to be stuck down. I really like the foam tape. When we had the foam tape, I felt like it was a better value, but I'll use this too. So there we go. My soul is happy. All right. Let me take it off of this so I can put the two. I am going to get 2 of the blue mats because I love to use 2 together, but they sold out really fast and I didn't want to take more than my share. So I just got 1 for me for right now. But I think they're supposed to be coming back sometime in early 2026. Not sure exactly what that means, but hopefully early means, you know, soon. Oh, I also had these little sunglasses. Those might be fun. Maybe I'll put those down there by the leaves. All right. And then I have this little, I picked the flamingo because I had the flamingo paper. So I put this big colorful tree right here with the flamingo. We'll put these leaves with this, ties them with those leaves. And then these other little words right here that say the perfect day, because it was a pretty darn perfect day. And I think the flamingo might need to go up on some foam squares. We'll start with this one. One. So we looked at both the, I think both of those are going to go on foam squares. We looked at both the embellishments and the stickers. You know, we try to kind of alternate back and forth which ones we use, but the, we felt like there was more variety in the embellishments this time than there was with the foam squares. I mean, sorry, not with the foam squares. Sorry, talking and scrapbooking can be hard. With the stickers. But you could absolutely, if you don't have the embellishments, the stickers are so similar that you could probably do almost all these same images. Maybe not the words. I think the words are different. Okay, we'll put this right here. And I do want to kind of have some illusion of perspective. So I've got the tree, like I'm not lining it up. The tree is kind of behind, so that it looks like the you know, more like the flamingos in front. Yeah, we'll do that one up there too. All right. Put that right there. All right. And we're done. That was a super quick layout. I think it's so pretty. I love the pink and the purple with the green. Whoops. Sorry, that's a sneak preview of the other layout. We didn't use this. You could use this maybe, you know, especially if you wanted to use the other side as a journal box or something. I mean, I could probably fit a piece of that, but I'm just gonna call this good right here. My soul is happy. Let me turn off the light so that now you can see too, and I can see. Doesn't that look really pretty? And as always, I love to show these layouts with, to show you the exact same layout with a different paper pack. But I will confess to you right now that I just realized that I forgot to put embellishments on it, and I'm not exactly sure where my embellishments are. So this exact same layout, but done with Adventure Park. Just because, you know, for obvious reasons, I have a lot of that. But it's the same concept of, well, I swapped those around, but, you know, the big rectangle, the punch, and the 1.5 inch border. And, you know, you get a completely different look. It'll look lots better once it has real pictures and embellishments. So there it is with Adventure Park. But here's our official layout for this month's Savvy Scrapbookers using Tropical Garden. I love this. It's made me realize I probably need to try and get back down to the beach. As you can see, I have several sisters, and so that we still have a chance for several more of them to turn 50 before we run out of excuses to go on vacation together. So once you finish watching my video, I hope that you will recreate this. As always, I would love to see what you do with this. I would love for you to share it in my Nicole Scrapbook Friends Look for this video. I will post the link to this YouTube in my Nicole Scrapbook Friends group. I would love for you to post your layout, your version of the layout in the comments of that on Facebook. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't have a good way of sharing, sharing videos and having that kind of interaction, which I wish we did. But are you going to use Tropical Garden? Are you going to use something else? I'd love to know. So once you're done watching mine, I hope that you will hop on over to Debbie at Debbie Scrapbooking Buddies and Donna at the Lazy Scrapbooker. See what they did with the pieces they chose from this month's paper pack and embellishment pack, Tropical Garden. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I will be back tomorrow with another edition of Theme Park Thursday, and hopefully with another album flip through very soon. Thanks a lot for watching, and happy scrapbooking.